Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for all of your purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today, we're discussing a fun 2022 update of a model originally launched in 2019. This is the Urwerk UR-100V, but it is the UltraViolet model that came out in 2022. Right towards the end of the visible spectrum for the human eye, designer Martin Fry wanted to play a little bit with color on a model that is fun-loving, unconventional, and distinctively Urwerk. Felix Baumgartner, the other founder and partner in Urwerk, updated the carousel time display specifically for this model to make it easier to read. So let's start with the basics. It is in DLC purple titanium. That's what you're looking at right here. The watch is at least across 41 millimeters. Difficult to describe this by any other dimension other than end to end. And that I have measured at 49.9 millimeters. It's actually thinner than Urwerk claims, a refreshing change in the industry. It's 13.4 millimeters thick. They claimed over 14. So I guess Felix Baumgartner, being German-Swiss, under-promising and over-delivering. So this is an interesting watch because of the color contrast between the case and the strap. And you can see the strap has a molded texture. It's very proprietary to Urwerk. On the bottom, you can see that the little perforation pattern of the rotor is echoed on the strap. And then there's a little Easter egg. Time is on your side. Of course, this is an uncut strap, vulcanized rubber, very supple, but also with every single scored mark still in place, we have an infinite amount of options to size this for you. Well, maybe not infinite, but a large number of opportunities to size this for your wrist, and we will do so before it ships to you, so don't worry. We have a blackened, matte finished, double deployant clasp. You can see internally, we have spring-loaded ceramic pin snaps, so over time, that pin snap can never be worn down by the titanium, so the tolerances will remain snappy. Now, there are two triggers. Once this is closed, you have to press both of them, not one, to open up the clasp, giving you a measure of security. Now, rolling around the case, the first thing you might notice is it says limited. Well, it's limited by the number they can make. In the sense that these are handcrafted products, it will be limited to only a handful on a yearly basis, but they are not shooting for a specific number. Notice, by the way, the beveling on the very edge of this plate, the satination across its top, and the polishing of the screws. We have an Urwerk branded crown. Everything here is media blasted. On the bottom, we're going to pop open that clasp again. You can see more media blast, and you can see now a matte black. We'll talk a little bit about the Windfanger rotor, and we'll do that after we talk about the topside elements that really define an Urwerk. So what I'm going to do is just demonstrate how the time-telling mechanism works. It is a digital display system based on the Renaissance wandering hours clock complication. Of course, Audemars Piguet brought this into the wristwatch realm for the first time in 1991 with its star wheel. That used star wheels and spring jumpers. This uses a Maltese cross mechanism for rotating and aligning the hour carousels. The little satellites here, a much more durable system than Audemars Piguet's, because Audemars Piguet's is very maintenance intensive and fragile, whereas this is very user-friendly and durable. So the way this works is the oncoming hour enters stage right as the outgoing hour exits stage left, and it's a digital time display, so you are looking quite literally at 4:15. Now you're looking at 4:30. A big change from the original 2019 UR-100 is that the numerals have been moved closer down to the minute scale. So the hour is now closer to the minute, making it more intuitive to read. The watch, of course, features these little portholes on the side inspired by a clock that Felix Baumgartner's father restored that had a little measure of the distance of the Earth's rotation in a given time noted on its face. So what you're actually looking at here are two different scales that display how far the Earth turns on its axis in 20 minutes. So you can see 555.55 kilometers. Then you go to the other side. This is how far the Earth travels through space in 20 minutes. So you have both of those measures. Now you have a combination of DLC, anodizing, And the base plate actually includes ruthenium here, so quite a few different materials. Internally, the carousels are made of very light alloy, which means the underlying Zenith Elite automatic doesn't lose a whole lot of power reserve compared to a Zenith application. There is an amazing amount of lume on this watch, by the way. Let me display this. Now let me operate the system so you can appreciate just how exciting it is to observe this watch in motion in the dark. Really cool. One of the best parts of this watch. As I mentioned, this UR-10.02 movement, that's what they call it, it uses a Zenith Elite automatic base. Urwerk has used a bunch of automatics over the years. Bases from different companies, I think there was Jacquet and Girard-Perregaux, and now they've settled for a long time on using a Zenith caliber, which is good on them because that's one of the best available. So it is a unidirectional rotating automatic with 48-hour power reserve, 40 joules, which is 13 more than the Zenith movement by itself, 4 hertz beat rate, and it uses this Windfanger rotor system. The idea is that this little rotor slows down the rotation of the mass, which helps to preserve the winding system of the Zenith. And you can see that there's a little toothed circumference. It's almost like the opposite of a ring gear. It's a track for driving the Windfanger. Now, turning it all back over, the carousel portion on the top is built entirely by Urwerk. So, manufacture watchmaking on the top, and then one of the best high horology automatic bases on the bottom. You can also see the use of many small ceramic ball bearings. You can see a little bit of the movement underneath, but you can see solarized bearing center, polished screws, engine turning on the rotor, and then satination of little plates that note automatic system and planetary turbine. Lots of fun to own. Now, I realize I haven't given you a wrist shot of this watch. This is one of the latest wrist shots. It's an unconventional watch in terms of how it fits. I mentioned that 49.9 millimeters end to end is the critical measurement, and it really is. Surprisingly, it will fit underneath a dress cuff or a tight sleeve. It is the breadth across the wrist, best expressed in this down the barrel shot, that gives you an idea of the fit. I would say you probably need at least a 15 centimeter circumference wrist. Mine is 16. Some might argue that the watch looks even a little bit large on my wrist. If you're that guy, well, go with your heart. But for anyone else, I think you can pull this off on a 15 centimeter circumference wrist, if only because you don't wear a giant purple watch not to be seen, and the prominence, in my estimation, is probably not a detrimental consequence to the kind of person who wants to be seen with a watch like this. I think prominence is actually a selling point. So reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.